He kōna I purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Piki mai, kake mai, hello and welcome to Country Life. I'm Sally Round.
Great to have you company, I'm Justin Gregory. Today we're taking you to a farm growing dozens of different types of trees, including a few for Christmas.
Later, Janina's travelling up the Whanganui River, delivering mail, and a few early prezzies to rural residents.
And Sally, you're in the King Country.
Yes, getting a whiff of the freshest strawberries I've smelt in a long time, and finding out what it takes to bring berries from the orchard to the Christmas dinner table.
But first, let's take a look at what's been making headlines on the rural news desk this week. Margins are expected to tighten for dairy farmers after Fonterra lowered its milk price forecast this week amid high global supply. The midpoint farmgate forecast is now $9 per kilogram of milk solids, with a range of between $8.50 and $9.50. The season started at a buoyant $10. The drop comes after the most recent global dairy trade auction saw prices fall for the 9th consecutive time. Manawatu dairy farmer James Stewart says one saving grace is lower interest rates, but the budget will be tightened up.
The higher the cost structure, the less margin you'll have for profit. So, and likewise with farm debt as well. So, for our business, it's still higher than break even, but it does reduce the ability to be able to reinvest on the farm this year. We'll just have to watch those budgets a bit closer.
Despite this, the Agriculture Minister says it's been a good year for primary production. This week, the government released figures showing food and fibre exports are set to reach a record $62 billion next year. And this year, MPI officials recorded primary exports hitting a new mark of $60 billion. Todd McLeay says red meat, apples and kiwi fruit are doing incredibly well in overseas markets.
These numbers are good for all of New Zealand and certainly the New Zealand economy. To forecast at $62 billion worth of exports, 83% of all the goods we send overseas from our primary sector, shows just how hard the men and women of provincial New Zealand are working for us. And for me, the highlights certainly are meat and wool being up, a great jump, but at the same time to see wool farmers doing better is fantastic. And horticulture also is a real standout. Kiwi fruit is driving that, but we're also seeing other fruit, particularly apples, doing well in markets around the world.
The 158-year-old oat milling company Harraways is investing $11 million to meet growing demand for its homegrown oats. The company contracts around 50 growers across central Otago, Queenstown and Southland to process around 16,000 metric tonnes of oat or grain each year. It's the country's only oat mill and also supplies local oat milk producers and biscuit and muesli bar makers. Chief Executive Henry Hawkins says there's increased demand from New Zealanders, despite continued competition from imports on the shelf.
People eating healthier and returning to New Zealand made for some good growth for Harraways. The goal overall is related to just capacity growth. We've reached a good point in our business where we are at capacity in terms of volume through our mill particularly, and we just need to plan for the future, and therefore we need to upgrade some of our equipment to cope with that.
Insurance claims from the spring storms that hit the lower South Island are expected to total $45 million. Strong winds left thousands across Southland and Otago without power in October, some for weeks, and generators had to be brought in to help dairy farmers keep milking. It also caused massive damage around Canterbury, downing dozens of pivot irrigators. Jackie McIntosh of FMG says it's the second biggest event in terms of claims numbers in the rural insurer's 120-year history, second only to Cyclone Gabrielle.
To date, we've received over 4,000 claims and we expect the cost to be just over that $45 million mark. To date, we've closed a quarter of those claims, which we're really proud about, and returned over $7 million back into the communities.
Jackie McIntosh says most of the claims related to damage to pivots and outbuildings like hay sheds or wintering barns, as well as some homes and disruption to businesses. Farmers are being urged to ditch the offal pit for a more eco-friendly compost pile for animal carcasses. The Canterbury Regional Council has been working with farmers and industry groups to consider how farmers can introduce and manage compost piles for animal deaths. Offal pits can contaminate groundwater and cause an odour on farm. ECAN Senior Farm Plan Advisor Melissa Gillespie says farmers should have all the ingredients they need to start a compost pile, including nitrogen and carbon-rich spoiled hay, sawdust or silage.
And finally, Zespri has approved a new red kiwi fruit, the Red 80, and the first harvests are expected in just over 2 years' time. It comes after ruby red volumes doubled this year and more than 3 million trays were sold in key markets. Next year, 100 hectares of Red 80 licence will be made available to growers, including through a pool for those existing Red 19 growers wishing to bid for a licence. And you can find out more about these stories on the country page at rnz.co.nz.
This is Country Life on RNZ National 101 FM.
At an arboretum near Palmerston North, you'll find a different type of Christmas tree growing. They're part of Tāmata Hauha's demonstration farm, which has more than 70 species of trees. Janina Schwaneker went to find out more from Chief Executive Blair Jameson. He has more on his mind than Christmas trees.
And these here are a little bit of fun for us. We've got some growing some of these trees for Christmas trees from different strands. So, this whole area here, once we get do the next prune on them and actually tidy some of them up, we're earning about $40,000 a hectare from that.
Blair's taking me around one of Tāmata Hauha's 3 show farms, Te Kohanui, where they're growing more than 46 different exotic and 30 different native species of trees.
One of the reasons why we created this farm, farmers like to come and actually have a look. They want to see how the farmers. That's why they have farming field days, right? It's the same type of an approach. We were very deliberate in making sure that you can come here and see everything in the application. Us putting our money where our mouth is before we told you that we should come plant on your land. So that's largely the reason why we've done what we've done.
Launched in 2021, Tāmata Hauha works primarily with Māori landowners to help them make their land holdings more productive, mostly through forestry and carbon farming. It provides the finance for purchasing trees, preparing the land, planting the trees, and managing the forest created, as well as carrying out all the administration.
We support landowners by saying, here's how much you get per hectare for this type of structuring, here's the native integration you can have with this type of species, and here's the other options if you wanted to go down the alternative timber production route. So we've got over 12 species here, which are supported by a number of different groups around, how do we get away from just being so heavily focused on radiata. And also when you want to talk about carbon, for people who want to understand the economics, most of the farm here was planted in 2022, 23, and you look at it and you say, why is that tree over here 10 times smaller than that one? And why is that tree bigger? And what does that tree have as a return profile? And you can come here and see nearly every type of forestry system that can be applied. We've even got Sylvia pasture agroforestry systems behind us as well, which show you how you can actually continue to graze and actually run farm and stock underneath those trees. And for some species of tree, you can get 15 to 18 metre spacing between trees in your pastoral systems, and
still be covered and getting extra profit through the ETS.
Yeah, 100%. If you apply it rightly, this farm really shows you that carbon forestry is the best form of farming subsidy that there's ever been.
Carbon farming involves earning money through credits under the Emissions Trading Scheme, or ETS, which Blair acknowledges has its challenges.
So the ETS is a cap and trade model. What I mean by that is however many tonnes of CO2 equivalents you emit, you actually have to buy those in carbon credits. So effectively you pay for your pollution, and so you can get those credits from forestry. You can also get those credits from the government. The funny thing is, over time, most of the credits that have been purchased have come from government auctions, which funnily enough aren't even attached to any actual form of sequestration. So a number of politicians will sit around a table and go, we're going to put 20 million credits into the market this year, not attached to any actual real sequestration, and then down the lines and people go, there's too many carbon credits around and da-da-da-da-da. Well, if we're actually sequestering them through trees and they're not actually doing anything to produce layers, it begs the question, where is the extra coming from, right? But forestry itself right now is serving a huge role and huge function, and more people are relying on forestry credits more than ever and moving away from the government auctions, which is a really good thing.
Recent legislation saw restrictions placed on the types of land where whole farms can be converted to forest. Blair has his own ideas about changes he'd like to see to the ETS.
There are a number of people out there in the space who are, just carbon focused. They're all about the yield. They don't care what they plant. They just want the carbon for the coin, and that has led to a number of outcomes which are in the long term not going to be very good. There's going to be a lot of pine forests that are there that aren't going to be managed. They'll be greenwashed and saying, oh, it's really good for the planet and whatnot. But look, in 50 years' time, you're probably going to have more government schemes going through and actually clearing those forests, and we'll pay for it in the future. So, look, those things have happened. No one's going to deny that. Unfortunately, what has happened over time is that successive governments have tried to tweak or change and do things, and that destroys confidence in the sector. These new changes, we agree to about 80% of them. We think that there needs to be protection over the high value productive land. What does need to be made clear is that for people who are establishing the right type of forests, we should not be penalised the same way that people who are planting just blanket pine everywhere will be penalised in this space as well. And we just want certainty. Our view is that pine should not be in the permanent category in the ETS. We're pretty strong on that. One or two minor tweaks, such as encouraging the right type of forestry regimes, is all that is needed to actually fix the underlying problem to stop mass farm conversion into pine. But that being said, like showing you around, you can see some of the trees over across the river here are 3 to 4 times taller than pine planted at the same age. And when you equate that I can actually go into those areas and plant 75% native trees that will stratify and become the dominant canopy over time, I'll get you there, and you'll make more money than pine, and you won't have the problems, and you've got more jobs. It actually all starts adding up. And so from the way that we operate on a per hectare basis, it creates more jobs than farming. So, you sit back and go, it's actually a win-win if people operate in the way that we do, but I recognise there are others that don't.
The philosophy at Tāmata Hauha is diversification, and it's about and opportunities, not and or.
When it comes to the environmental side, look, every site is bespoke, every site has its own needs. We go to a lot of farms that have had significant erosion problems. Their solution should be completely different to the farmer who's got a lot more arable cropping areas or things of that nature, or deer farmers compared to sheep and beef farmers compared to those who are in the horticultural game. So we actually operate on all those different spaces. I mean, we've got dairy farms which are classified as forests. We've got sheep and beef farms that are forests. And I'm not talking about the blanket exclusion of farming. We are here largely for that and conversation. I mean, I grew up, all my uncles are dairy farmers. You can sit around the table at Christmas time and you're sitting there going I'm in forestry, and the immediate discussion always goes, what are you doing? And then by the end of it, most of them are customers. So it's about understanding that it can work together well. It doesn't need to be pine or nothing, and it's just understanding how you get into that space where it works with you, not against you. At the show farm, Blair and the team aim to do just that. We've got everything. So, effectively, around our waterways, it's always going to be native. We've got systems here where we utilise poplars, not just for erosion control. It's actually looking at it and saying there are solutions moving forward where, and even in our site office here, it's all poplar plywood and everything as well. Looking at saying, hey, look, there are other alternative forms of optionality available to you. And so, down the bottom there, we've laid out a number of different varieties of poplar. Some have been looking at bioplastics and being used for lignin extraction and stuff like that. Other areas of the farm, there's native integration. I've got trees growing out of swampy environments. I've got native mix in with those things in our wetland areas. We've encouraged a lot of native.
So is you like a kikitian type trees, or?
Oh yeah, we've got everything here. So it's again just to show you at how quickly they grow, and even what environments they need to actually do well. Because going through and showing, okay, here it is in the system now. Over time, that will become canopy dominant. At that point, it'll shade out the exotics that we apply, and you actually end up with a native forest without actually having to fight against trees' biology. It's about using the right exotic to perform a job for a period of time to enable native growth.
Blair Jamieson of Tāmata Hauha. He was showing Janina around the demonstration farm just outside Palmerston North.
And spare a thought, if you will, for Santa's helpers who've been busy making the rounds to ensure there's gifts under the tree. Janina joined one such helper as part of a rural postie run up the scenic Whanganui River.
We're off up the Whanganui River, Te Awa Tupua, which goes from sea to the mountains we're going to today and then coming back.
How many houses? It's a route Tracy Marshall knows well. For the past 5 years, she's been the RD6, or rural delivery driver, transporting mail and sometimes tourists along the remote rural road. It's also where she grew up.
So I've probably got one of the longest mail runs in our region, as in distances. but I've probably got less letterboxes. I wakapapa to the Whanganui River, to Koroniti. Born and bred up there and grew up there, and came home from Australia 12 years ago now, and absolutely love it. Love being home, love being around my family.
Do you want to talk me through some of the places we're going to visit today along our tour?
So we're going to go into, I'm going to take you to my marae. My auntie's going to have a chat with you, and that'll be probably our first stop. We'll go visit Annie, our resident deer, my cousin's little girl's deer. She's beautiful. Feed her. We'll go to the flour mill, Kawana flour mill, and we'll go up to the church, and then we'll go up to Whitaki and have morning tea.
Sounds great. Tracy's day started at 6:30am when she picked up the mail from the depot. There's 65 letterboxes on her route, each unique, and pre-Christmas is usually one of the busiest times of year.
Give the kids their presents.
Oh, really?
My cousin, she said, don't give him the presents. Morena, darling, morena. Morena, Jazz. I just left it at the door.
Off we go.
Off we go, yep.
Is it a mix of parcels and letters, or...?
It is, so we do both, parcels and letters. Mail has been declining, but I've just noticed just recently everything's climbing back up again. Mail's becoming more and more popular again.
Oh, interesting.
It is interesting. I think because it's a cheaper form of sending something out than a parcel. I don't do a lot of parcels up here, although today looks like I do. But I'm doing some Crisco's and that, which, you know, because it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
They tend not to buy a lot of junk up here. I think the biggest thing I deliver up here would be dog biscuits.
Oh, wow, yep. Fair enough. I suppose, yeah, that's one you need regularly.
Yeah. You know,
save your trip
buy just dog biscuits online and cleaning products.
Yeah. And so, as you say, doing some Crisco deliveries, this is probably one of your busier times of year, you reckon, ramps up before Christmas?
Yeah, it is a busy time. Although I think it's not as busy as what we predicted, but I think that's all over the country at the moment. Yeah. So this is my favourite letterbox.
And it's an old microwave.
It's the driest letterbox too.
I can imagine.
I think I've won an award because of this letterbox.
Oh, really?
A tourism award.
Yeah, there are some pretty unique letterboxes, I'm sure, along the route.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it. They're a creative bunch.
Yeah. Do you ever pick up parcels or letters to take into town?
I do pick up parcel letters. They've got the little flags.
Yeah, and they just stick them up?
They just pop them up.
Yeah. So is the route the same every day for you, essentially? It's just stopping off at different properties depending on who's got the mail?
Yeah.
I suppose that adds a bit of variety.
Yeah. You know, 2015 we had really big floods. And one side of Whanganui was blocked off from the other, and all of this was underwater.
Wow.
There was nearly 200. It was one of those floods that you get every 100 years or every 80 years. These guys were stuck in here because the road wasn't accessible.
Completely under, yeah.
For nearly 2 weeks.
Wow. The tour includes Tracy sharing her insights from growing up on the river, along with the area's rich history. She points out various sites and geographic features as we travel down the narrow road.
So apparently the old river traders markets used to be across there.
Oh, in that flat?
On the other side, of the river. You know, so they would paddle down with all their stuff and sell it from there. And I think, you know, the riverboats changed all of that for them.
Bet that they didn't necessarily they could go all the way to town? Or?
Yeah, and take their stuff into Whanganui.
One question I wondered, I don't know if you do know, but what was the mail route like once upon a time along here before we had, you know, the cars we do and things like that?
Oh, so I found Jen, who's the manager at the Waimarie, she found some documentation about the mail being done up here. So it used to be done by canoe.
Really?
Yes, 140 years it's been going for.
Wow.
I've got all that documentation, which you might find it really interesting. So it used to be done by canoe. It's taken nearly 2 weeks. Wow. And so my kukorangi pukia from up at up at Koroniti, he wrote some of it. He used to stop and he would stay, I think, where he would drop the bags.
Gotcha.
Or camp along the river.
Because it was such a long trip, as you say.
Because it was, you know, and don't forget, he used to paddle back up.
Yeah.
And drop mail.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Tracy waves to passing cars. She knows them all along this road, and there's even a friendly toot. We also pass walkers and cyclists making their way along the Te Araroa Trail.
Morning. Are you guys okay?
Oh, yeah, we're just having a breather and around to go back.
Go on, go to Matahiwi.
Along the way, we call into various settlements, meeting Tracy's aunties and cousins who still call the river home. At one, we meet Annie, a pet deer that's proven popular with tourists, and we learn more about her cousin's manuka business, Marshall Honey.
I'm Darren Marshall. I live up the Whanganui River in Coronity with my husband Adam and our 4 children. So we're roughly running around 800 hives. Definitely unique because it's only from Mbawa, you know, like where else could you get good honey like that from? It's just, yeah, we're quite lucky actually.
What kind of, how do you think it tastes? What do you use your honey with? Pop it on a bit of toast or pop it in your tea?
So we literally use it for anything. If our kids get any cuts or like sores, they put it on their food, they put it in their water, they just, like their lemon drinks I should say. Like, yeah, they just use it for everything. So this is actually the first year we've actually tried potting it and then trying to make a market from it.
Time to meet Annie the deer.
Annie!
How did you come to meet the special Annie girl?
So we brought some breeding hinds of a local up the river in Jerusalem. So we had around 100 hinds in here.
I see all the deer fencing, yeah.
Yes. And then we were eventually just going to let them off on the farm and then we'd get hunters in to shoot them.
Yeah.
But my daughter actually, she was only 2, I guess, and she just literally waltzed in here, grabbed it. It had literally just slipped out of its mum and she just grabbed it and just nurtured it from then on.
Like, that's my baby now.
It's so cool. Like,
oh wow,
they would live such a rich life here because of that.
Yeah.
Hey Annie!
Oh, I see some movement down there.
Oh,
I think just down there I saw.
Good spotting.
Oh.
Good girl, come on.
Hey Annie, you are a beautiful girl. We hit the road again and it's on to Koroniti Marae, where I get a tour and meet Auntie Sugar, also known as Jula.
I was born here, up the hill, and I've lived here most of my young life, went to school here, and I went, my husband was in the army, so he went overseas and we travelled around a bit all over there.
And what was it that brought you back here?
We just decided to build a house because my mum had a little batch over in the marae, and we decided to build a house here for her. She didn't live long enough for it to be built.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, so we came home.
What's it been like coming back and being here again?
It's lovely. We've always wanted to come home.
It's very special on a day like today, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's special when you've lived here from a little girl right to an old lady, and he's buried up the hill, and that's where I'm going to go. So yeah, everyone's here. It is a special place for all of us.
A special place that Julia and Tracy are only too happy to share with travellers.
So there's 2 photos here. There's Potama, Waihere. So Potama was on the other side of the river. Vandals had got to him, and you know, up on the Jinfuani, the top of the first, the farmer on the other side of the river found these carvings down on the side of the river. So vandals had got to him.
Oh.
So my kuko Koroban, Misakingi, they all got together. He went up the river, and my kuro, he brought him down on a barge, and they dismantled him on the other side, brought him down here because he's one of the big chiefs. This is his granddaughter's marae.
Wow.
And so now he said, because we can look after him better here. So they built, this is our museum. They built it in honour of the Hikurangi people, where Potama came from when they brought him across. So they built
And look at this carving with the awa, and it shows,
Yeah.
really
so that's a
captures the
pretty new
history.
one,
That's
Yeah.
beautiful though.
Yeah, so you picked that, didn't you? Yeah.
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 It looks just like what we've been seeing, basically,
Yeah.
obviously a little bit different,
Yeah.
but
A lot of the stuff in here is stuff that was given to us by manuhiri, by visitors. Like these stuffed kangaroos. So that'd be obviously. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. All sorts of, and beautiful old photos as well.
And so this was the original whare on the marae here?
This was, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the hall.
The tour has taken us up through Parakino, Atene, Koraniti and Matahiwi, past the Kawana Flour Mill and St. Joseph's Convent near Jerusalem, or Hiruharama, onto Pipariki and back. A 6-hour round trip.
And it's really nice to have them come up here, because what keeps us all together is our whenua, is the land, eh?
Time to make the trip home, back along the route we came, up the winding Whanganui River.
Tracy Marshall of the original Mail Tour alongside the Whanganui River. That story by Janina Schwaneke. She also spoke with Darren E. Marshall and Jula Teki.
My name is Hamish Best. I am a sheep farmer and meat retailer from Conscious Valley in Ohariu Valley, currently sitting out on the farm looking out over the Cook Strait. You're listening to Country Life on RNZ National.
Our final story for the year takes us behind the scenes of a busy family-run berry orchard in King Country. Angela and Mike Roy like to keep things local, selling nearly all their produce in their farm shop on the outskirts of Piopio. Pretty much the whole family's getting ready for the busiest time of the year.
Drive along State Highway 3 with a load of kids in the back these holidays, and you'll be hard-pressed not to stop near the small town of Piopio. Pull in at the berry orchard, past the families picnicking on punnets of just-bought fruit, dodge the kids, eyes glued to berry ice creams, and step into the red shed. It's here you might meet members of the extended Roy family, including Mum Angela, who's busy on the morning baking.
I'm doing mixed berry muffins at the moment because we use all our product as best we can. So we freeze it and then I make muffins, jams, and the girls are making smoothies, and of course the ice creams.
Daughter Jessie runs the retail side of things. She's just swirled berry ice cream onto a cone from the big shiny machine on the counter.
Like children, we like to line up and they watch and they have it all explained to them and they love it, and just the smiles is actually what makes it all for us.
Her dad Mike's outside, putting up the umbrellas, ready for the day's trade.
The retail business here is very important for us, and we aim to sell 100% of what we grow through this retail outlet. We do a little bit of wholesale to some of the local supermarkets, but 95% of what we grow we sell directly here through our roadside shop.
And what's going in those muffins today?
Well, as you can see, a lot of fruit, but there's strawberries, blueberries, raspberries and blackberries in there. You're more likely to not be able to find the batter rather than the fruit.
And are they fresh from the orchard this morning? Are they
No,
frozen
they've been
ones from last season?
frozen. Yeah, they're frozen. Some from last, some from this season. We just pick, pack and then freeze that night, whatever we haven't sold. So
no wastage?
No, that is our aim, no wastage at all.
Head out the back of the shop into the orchard and you'll see the results of hard work, more than 3 decades of growing experience, clever use of technology, and a good dose of DIY.
We have about 13.5 hectares. The original block we bought was about 9.5 hectares when we came here in 1993, and there was 4 hectares of blueberries, established blueberries in those days. And then we added strawberries pretty quickly after that. Then about 20 years ago we bought a neighbouring 4 hectares. We had a dream of what we could do with the shop, and that required more production to fulfil those dreams.
Those dreams led to the installation of several large tunnel houses 6 years ago. It means the Roys can now supply the shop with strawberries continuously for 6 months of the year. They also grow raspberries, blackberries and blueberries outside the tunnels. And as well as family, the Roys have a tight-knit team giving a hand.
Oh yes, yeah. We do have some staff that have been with us for the entire 30 years.
Oh, you must be quite a big employer here then.
Well, we are.
How many people altogether?
In the height of summer, sort of December, January, we can employ 100 people, and all of those are locals. We don't have backpackers or RSE workers or anything like that. These are all just people who live in our community.
And there are enough people here to keep the operations going?
We've never had trouble getting staff. No. And they just come back year after year, and some of them are well and truly retired, but they just enjoy working together and being outside and in the sun and being busy in the summer months. Some are here for the entire 6 months of the summer season.
I'm stopping because I can smell strawberries.
And some of them are here for in the winter as well and help with our winter work. Yeah.
We've reached the tunnels, the polytunnels.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, the smell of fresh strawberries is something else.
Yes.
Do you ever get sick of it?
No, we don't. Although people come into the shop and go, oh, smell them, smell the strawberries, but we actually don't smell them there. There's so much else going on, muffins and stuff, but here you can't mistake it, can you? It's beautiful.
It is coming into their prime, aren't they?
Yeah, we're standing in front of some tunnels now that are all very red looking. If you actually go into them and turn the red ones over, they're a little bit orangey on the other side, some of them. So our pickers are well trained to only pick red fruit, because
completely red fruit,
which is then full of flavour. Because we only going to transport them 150 metres from the tunnels up to our shop, where we will pack them this afternoon and sell them today. And if not today, it's tomorrow morning at the latest.
And then they're frozen. Any unsold will then be frozen, and that goes into all the other things.
So what you're saying is you're picking them at the very last point.
Yes.
So that they're beautifully ripe off the plant.
Yeah, that's right. And then they're full size and full flavoured. Quality fruit is our main selling point.
Unlike some growers, we are a little bit different. We do see everyone that has our fruit, we see them face to face, obviously, in the shop. So everything about our berries has to be top. We did do export and pick your own and what have you at another orchard many years ago. When we came here, we decided that's definitely what we didn't want to do.
Why not?
Well, good question. If you do export, you need to pick fruit that is, this sort of colour. Sorry. Slightly immature fruit. So you're not getting that taste, and it will never regain that taste. But however, it will have a wonderful shelf life. It will last. It will be packed. It will be put on a truck. It will go to somewhere. It will be exported, possibly, whatever. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to pick that. And then if you have pick your own, people who come to do pick your own are inexperienced pickers, and it looks quite simple, and it is quite simple, but there's a lot of care has to go into taking them, because strawberries will eventually just stop producing fruit if they are damaged anyway, or not enough of the fruit is picked if they leave some of them. If in outdoor strawberries, if we had a lot of rain and and they'd got damaged, we had to go through and pick all those off. Obviously, if pick your own is wouldn't, and understandably. So we had decided
a lot more work that way, isn't it?
And there's a lot more risk, I think. But anyway, we didn't have to, because we started how we were going to go on.
And they did go on to invest $1 million in these polytunnels, which protect the plants from things like pests and bad weather. The tunnels house about 66,000 strawberry plants, each producing about 1 kilo of berries. And 2 different varieties ensure a staggered supply.
They're actually grown in a product called koya, which is a byproduct of the coconut industry. So they come imported into New Zealand in like a dry slab of coconut koya. They're replaced every year. So we will be picking these ones until April or early May, at which point we remove all these bags and plants, put in new bags, water them, and they all swell up. So the koya itself is quite inert. It's just something for the strawberry plant to root into, and then each plant has a little dripper irrigation which supplies water and nutrients for the plant. They get plenty of sun through this plastic, which we have to replace from time to time. It's a lovely warm dry environment in here, and so the pickers love it because they don't have to wear raincoats like they would if they were outside.
I can see they would.
It's nice and
it's
warm.
It's nice and cool.
It's nice, and nice and warm when on cold day.
Yeah. Or cooler, shaded from the sun.
Yes.
Yeah, on the hot days.
Yes. It can get very hot in here, and our pickers are at the moment starting about 7:30 in the morning, and they finish at just after midday, 12:30, something like that, before it gets too hot for both them and the fruit. In December, January, they will start earlier again and finish earlier.
And one big question I have is the birds.
Birds.
They have free access to
They do.
tons of fruit here.
We don't have a lot of bird problem. I don't know whether that's just our environment or whether they don't like flying in under the tunnels. We have heard that that can be, something birds don't like. They feel a bit confined. But even on our outdoor strawberries, you could be out there picking all day and come across half a dozen berries that had a bird pick.
However, I think it's because we've got blueberries, because birds will leave strawberries before you can blink just to get to those blueberries. That's why, hence
so
the
you have a decoy
netting.
crop of blueberries.
Yeah, we just have the netting, and
so
that's
they can't get in there.
No,
But they're trying to get in.
They will try, and we actually one year, because a lot of growers don't have netting, and so one year the half of our netting was blown off, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, it was a big hole anyway, big enough to let them in. And we think we probably lost 50% of the crop.
Well, little do they know that they could just whip over here and it's free. No effort.
But they do feel vulnerable under a canopy, apparently. It's not foolproof because we do see the odd one. But we actually don't have a bad problem. And possibly because the pickers start earlier, as the season progresses, and so when the birds are here, they get annoyed because the pickers are here also with their music.
Should we go and meet some of them?
Okay. Down here and talk to Winnie.
Yeah, Winnie. Of course you will.
Hi, Winnie.
Hi, I'm busy. How are you?
Hello, hi. How long have you worked here, Winnie?
I worked here for about 6 years, and then I had a little holiday. I went and worked somewhere else, and I've come back. Good atmosphere. I mean, where can you work outside and do what you enjoy doing? Yeah.
And the smell of the strawberries as you walk in every morning. Do you love that, or is it?
It's normal for us.
Normal.
We don't find it any different. Yeah.
So what are you up to? You're putting your gloves on?
I'm just putting my gloves on because I just can't do it without gloves. But my biggest trouble was picking red from red. There's lots of different reds, and then there's orange, and then it goes, when you've got it all good, you've got to go size, but they're all pretty, so they'll all go in there. That's cooked at a little maybe, and then that's a knot.
Why is that a knot?
Because it's dark and it's horrible. Sometimes it's too red, it can be too dark.
You have to have a very trained eye to get just that perfect red strawberry.
So when we're picking it, I'm picking that and I know where I'm going to put it before I put it there.
I can see that. Your hands are working ahead of your eyes almost.
Sometimes we get it mixed up, so yeah. But
thank you.
No.
I'll let you get on. So shall we go on into the computer shed?
A bit further on, you'll find the electronic brain behind the finely tuned operation, which keeps the strawberries nourished and watered.
So on the wall here we have a computer that is giving us a whole lot of readings from out inside the tunnel houses. And it's actually operating at the moment as we're in here. So it's pumping water and nutrients at this time of the day down into the tunnel houses. And it goes through a series of zones and waters, and total watering takes about half an hour. And then the watering stops and the tanks all refill, and the computer injects more nutrients into those tanks and stirs it for another half hour and then switches off. And then sometime when it decides the plants need more water, it will switch on again and start pumping.
Mike explains how sensors feed info, such as temperature and humidity in the tunnel houses, into the computer.
So on a hot day like today, it will water more frequently than on a cool, overcast day. The plants really just want water. They don't really need feed because they're just going to keep taking water. But in the morning, at 9 o'clock when the system starts up, they want breakfast basically, they want food. So we feed them nutrients at that point for the first few hours of the day, and then as it gets hotter closer to lunchtime, it's just water again.
So that's all drip fed, the nutrients as well, through the reticulation system?
Yes, it's a fertigation system.
And then there's pest control. And here it's a case of good versus evil. They source predatory insects from a New Zealand-based company to get rid of the ones they don't want.
Our main one to worry about is mites, two-spotted mites specifically. And they can increase in numbers dramatically in that warm environment. So we monitor for two-spotted mite, and then we can get from Bioforce, they just courier us overnight these predator ones, and they come in a little plastic bottle, and we just spread them around inside the tunnel houses, and they crawl around and they will eat the eggs and the immature stages of two-spotted mite.
And they won't harm the strawberry plants, obviously.
No, and they don't eat, they only eat other mites. And as long as you get your timing right, which is why we're monitoring all the time for it, they will completely control two-spotted mite to the point where they will have eaten them all and they themselves die because they've got no more food source. This year, for whatever reason, we haven't had an issue with two-spotted mite. It no doubt will come because they're always around on strawberry plants. So, but just I think the weather that we've had through the spring, it's sort of delayed the onset of two-spotted mite.
But it is an interesting thing because we didn't hold out too much hope for the success of the system, but we started as soon as we had tunnel houses. You couldn't do it on outdoor strawberries, obviously, because of the pests come in from everywhere all the time.
And have you found that workload has decreased for you or increased?
Probably not exactly,
Okay.
no, just different. Outdoor strawberries were more risky. So we've eliminated a lot of the risk because we've eliminated a lot of the weather issues, which is, of course, as in all farming, that's the biggest issue.
We have 5 months off, off the shop, I should say, and we do the winter work, but it's a lovely time to
regroup,
energise and what have you. And it is great. It's good for the orchard because we can take stock and look at what we need to improve or change,
One of their winter jobs is pruning the other berry plants, and down the track you'll find the blueberries under the nets Angela mentioned. Some of these bushes are 40 years old, planted by the previous owners. Angela and Mike have brought in different varieties of blueberries to avoid the gluts and flatten the production curve.
The netting, has to be mended each year, but boy, it's worth its weight in gold. We know that now.
How do you mend it?
On ladders?
Yeah, you hang on.
With needle and thread, basically.
Yeah,
yes.
needle and
so
string,
Angela and I put this original netting here up 20 years ago probably, which was a big job. We went down to Hawke's Bay and saw the contractors down there and to see how they were doing it. But they were charging $100,000 a hectare to put it up, and we couldn't afford that. So we learnt what we could and came home and did it ourselves.
What a job.
Yes,
but these are enormous nets.
It was a big job. And the weather wasn't kind to us either, was it?
No.
I was often hanging off a parachute of netting because, it doesn't look like the wind would get caught, but man, it does.
The mature blueberry plants produce 9 to 10 kg of berries each. Great with the craze for blueberries these days. The Roys, including daughter Maggie, who works remotely on the business from London, are all gearing up for the big Christmas and New Year rush. The team includes eldest daughter Jessie's dairy farmer husband and their 4 boys.
Well, Hamish comes and helps us with his long arms, and he can get the fruit to the over onto the display through the crowds, because there are crowds. And then I've got the 4 boys. Well, they all do everything. James is 14. He does everything. He's working in the shop at times. wants to earn money for a motorbike. And then Fletch is 11 and he does the till like, an old fella. And Charlie's learning that too. And then Sam's our little 6-year-old. He does the stickers on the punnets, Not always as straight as one might, expect, but hey,
It really is a family affair.
Oh, it is. And Lynn's there always packing blueberry, anything that we're doing, that's Lynn.
Hi.
And how Lynn, we have highly trained people because she's got a PhD. But anyway, Lynn's been with us for 30 odd years.
Quite busy. Yeah.
It's quite busy.
What's Christmas like for you, Lynn, here?
Well, her feet don't, You've got to have good shoes. Right. Yeah, you do.
Great shoes.
That's probably exactly
You're
what
running
it is.
in between, grabbing more stock for the shop?
Well, running might be stretching it a bit, but...
She's moving a lot. Yeah. So, no, she is. And the two girls, Maren and Greta here, they're working hard, but we have a few of you, don't we, girls? Yes. and Jessie.
As for Jessie, seeing her own boys grow up around the berries is pretty special. She remembers helping in the shop when she was a kid.
Could you reach?
Yeah, just. Yeah, and they do just. And then you very quickly learn the customer life and the till life and everything. So.
And what are some of the tips that you give to your kids?
Smile. We always smile and courteous. Honestly, we haven't had to give them too many tips because they've watched us do it their entire lives and they know exactly what to do and what we want of them. So, yeah, we have been. But the customers love it. They love coming in and seeing the kids at the counter.
Tell me about the customers. How far are they coming?
Oh, gosh, we get them from everywhere, all over the world. But Taranaki is a huge customer base for us and our locals, but honestly, from everywhere.
Do people make special trips to come here?
They do, yeah. Wellington and beyond to come for a drive up the coast and get their fruit on the way. So, no.
Tell me about Christmas time. What's it like in those days just before Christmas?
Controlled chaos.
Not always controlled.
No. It is. These days we've got a lot set in place to make it easier for ourselves.
Yes.
We have orders, pages and pages and pages of orders that Maggie in London has typed up for us. And we have little setups all through the shop of all the staff doing packing. But these days the ice creams are just as busy Christmas week, and so it's such a neat time. We probably should be on the ground in a corner rocking backwards and forwards, but we love it, There's so much laughter.
And Hamish and how he just reaches over people.
Yeah, and now my oldest child, who's just about as tall as him, does the same thing. So,
do you have strawberries for Christmas Day?
Oh yeah, we don't stop eating them. All the berries. I have got 2 children in particular who always have a berry mouth. We love our berries.
What's your favourite recipe for Christmas Day?
Oh, well, we do love, the kids love ambrosia, so that we put lots and lots of berries in for that. Honestly, we don't do a lot of cooking with the berries because we love them just as they are, though, and so...
We don't have time.
Yeah, and we don't have time. It's quite nice to actually sit down and eat berries rather than eat them on the run while you're... we honestly just eat them as they are.
Jessie Lumans and other members of the Roy family and their team getting ready for another busy Christmas New Year season at Pio Pio Berry Orchard.
And that's it for another year, and it's been a big one for the small team at Country Life.
It sure has. We've loved getting out and about around the country, heading to nigh on 100 small communities and towns in rural Aotearoa. My fellow producer Janina Schwaneker and I said goodbye to long-term producer Cosmo Kentish-Barnes and enjoyed working with Duncan Smith and others like Maggie Tweedy and Mark Leishman, and of course the wider podcast team here at RNZ.
And many thanks to our studio producer David Knowles and engineers Phil Benge, William Saunders, Mark Chesterman and Alex Harmer. It's not quite the end though, as the team will be bringing you our summer series over the next few weeks, when you can listen back to some of the stories we brought you throughout the year.
And don't forget, you can listen and follow our podcast on any podcast app. And finally, we have some great news for our radio listeners. You can sleep in a bit because we'll be returning to our 7 a.m. start when we return at the end of January.
We wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas from me too. Mere kirihimete.